If you have no experience with singing and you're not really sure about what vocal technique is at all, today I have a lesson recording with a student of mine who's starting from complete scratch. And so I thought I'd share this recording almost as if you're taking your very, very first lesson with me. The first part here is I'll highlight what vocal technique is and a very simple way to start to build and start to work on it in your own practice. And then in part two, which I'll release next week, for some of you who maybe can't play an instrument, I'm going to share with you how you can start to build your own scales. And the reason why is this allows you to be way, way more deliberate with your practice, which is how you start to see real results, as opposed to just mindlessly going through exercises and hoping that it get better. Anyway, let's dive in. The way I wanted to start off today is explain how the voice actually works. Because last week I left you with, this is something to work on, keeping the volume exactly the same. If you slip up, try again, but like why? Like why do we do this, right? So I'll probably start there. So a lot of technique, I believe, is really just about coordinating the correct muscles accurately, because so much of what we, when we're singing and things don't work out the way things work out, part of it is experience and musicality, like just having a better ear, that takes time. But a lot of it is just simply the muscles are too clumsy. Say, for example, compare the voice to like a piano. In a piano, if I press the button, the note comes out perfectly. But with our voice, it's a very different story because we need to learn to coordinate the muscles to be able to even make the notes, right? So before we can even start to do all the artistic stuff or like build that control in, we have to be able to make the notes first. So this is where I kind of spend a lot of time, because if you can do that, I find that the musicality side comes in. Now, specifically with the voice, there's a lot of different muscles, right? So we talked about engaging the right muscles. There's, the breathing muscles, which a lot of teachers will spend a lot of time on. I personally spend a bit more time on the muscles inside your Adam's apple, the vocal folds, because I find that they are the one that tend to be the chokehold or the bottleneck for most singers. Right. And I experienced this myself, and most of my students, they spend years working on their breathing technique, but they still hit this wall because of that. Now, that doesn't mean we won't address the breathing side or the other things, but I find that the domino effect is more like getting these guys to coordinate better. Now, what are these muscles that we're talking about? Generally, there's two kind of key groups that we're interested in. There's the ones that stretch and thin out your vocal folds. Like they stretch and thin it out, because that's how we change pitch. Right. So if you think of a rubber band, there are muscles that actually engage and stretch it out. And then there's also muscles that bring the chords together. Right. So we're going to learn to build some awareness over what those two feel like, because it's not just about like jamming the chords together or like just stretching. It's about doing them with precision. And also it's about independence, which is, as I engage maybe more stretch, get those chords to thin out, I don't accidentally engage other things like pressing on the chords harder, letting them come apart. A sense of independence is what we're trying to build, because that's what good singers are really good at doing. Because think about examples where you're trying to sing, as you go up high, you suddenly flip, where you suddenly kind of lose or crack, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Why is that happening? It's because you're trying to stretch and get to the note, but the chords maybe come apart. Maybe there's too much pressure or whatnot. And so that's a sign of like lack of independence. Now that we know that, the question is really simple. Like, how do we change pitch, get that feeling of changing pitch without having to engage other muscles? And especially, for example, without messing around with the rhythmoids. Because, for example, when we're talking about volume, the reason why we didn't want volume to change as pitch was changing is because that's a sign of lack of independence. Right, which means as you're going up higher, the vocal folds, the closure will kind of move around. Sometimes they press a bit harder, sometimes they press a bit softer, as we're trying to stretch and thin out that vocal fold. Right, now, question is simple, but the real magic is execution, which is like, how do we actually do this well? Because great singers just do this really well. Okay, so now that I've talked about what vocal technique is, before we actually dive into the actual exercise, just know that one of the hardest things about learning to build correct technique and learning how to sing is getting correct feedback with your voice. Often there's a lot of nuances and a lot of little small adjustments that we need to make, that just simply watching a video like this and understanding the concepts, understanding like, the macro kind of picture, sometimes that's not enough. And so for those of you who feel like you're stuck, or you feel like you're kind of watching these videos but you're not really seeing real progress, then I'd still highly recommend booking in a lesson with me. I do offer lessons over Zoom, and that's where you can get this kind of really tailored feedback to actually see real results. So if you're interested in that, links down in the description link. So I'm going to start you off with something slightly bit different today, because this will really kind of highlight the two aspects of what we're trying to control. Now, the first one is this. I want you to kind of just find this little tapping motion. I want you to go, oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. And see how gentle you can make it, but with precision. So if you kind of go gentle, but it kind of goes, oh, 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 it's kind of like vague and like almost like breathy. That means the closure is like kind of a bit vague, right? I want you to go, oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, notice how it kind of like taps, tap, 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 tap. Now contrast that to maybe something a bit more squeezed, where you engage in the written notes a lot. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, so that's slightly more on the squeezy side. So there is this kind of gray area, right? So see if you can find just a gentle but precise tap. That's a good place to kind of start. Somewhere around speaking volume is good, because when we speak, we generally don't like get too squeezed and we don't get too kind of loose. It's kind of just like oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice, I'll take that. So that is one way to start to feel. Now what's happening there is closure. So you're engaging the muscles that bring the chords together.
Okay.
Now notice it doesn't feel like much. Like you're not really having
Yeah,
fun.
I don't really feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
but
I'm
you can
trying to
feel
hone
something.
in on it, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this should start to show you that closure is just about precision. Like if you coordinate precisely, it wouldn't really feel that like effortful. Because you'll notice sometimes when people tell you like to sing to get stronger, like stronger sound, we kind of need to like support, like press in a lot. But then the challenge with that is that's too much. At least for a lot of pop singing where we're not really leaning in that much. The challenge is how do we do that with pitch change now? Right? How do we change pitch whilst maintaining that feeling? Because if we come back to the idea of independence, if I can just keep that same easy kind of tap as I traverse range, I start to teach the muscles what I'm trying to do. So this is where this exercise comes in. We can kind of go, oh, 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 oh. If you notice what I'm doing here, I'm changing pitch, but I'm simultaneously trying to keep the tap the same. Now, pitch change is where it can get a bit abstract at times, because like, how does that feel like, right? Now, I think there are sensations we can feel, right? Personally, and you kind of see me doing this, I kind of just feel like the sound kind of going up and over, it kind of sits up in the head a bit higher. It's a bit kind of subjective, so you might need to kind of explore, feel it out for yourself, and this is what our next kind of couple of months is all about. It's like, how do we get you to feel it accurately and be able to execute it correctly? Because it might be different to you. Some people have described to me like, they're like, oh, it feels like I'm going through this narrow tunnel, or like it feels like I'm there's this elevator. Like there's all these different ways you can describe it, but whatever works. But we're grounding it back into the fundamental truth, which is I'm just trying to stretch those chords, change pitch, and not do anything else. If I can do that, whatever gets me there, gets me there.
Okay.
Right, cool. Yeah, give it a try yourself. I'll do it one more time. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. We'll do it a few times. So you can get the pattern first. So there's a series of like kind of tapping and scooping. That's really important. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. So you're already kind of feeling glimpses of this. So your closure is pretty solid, and you're starting to traverse pitch, and it's actually quite nice. Do you feel what's happening when you're changing pitch?
So the closure is just that sound that we're making, right? The oh, oh, oh,
Yeah.
and then okay, and then it's just maintaining that while traversing pitch. Okay.
Yes, it is. Sorry, I just poured water all over me.
No,
So
you need a.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
So question here is like, can you like observe if closure is kind of just hitting the same way?
Mm-hmm.
What's that feeling of pitch change? That's a good question to start asking yourself. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh,
Nice,
oh.
well done. Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice, keep going.
Oh, 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 oh.
Hell yeah, that's good.
Oh, 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 oh.
Very nice.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice.
Oh, 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 oh.
So that closure gets me kind of funny on the top. It kind of loosens a tiny bit, but it's overall this is solid. This tells me a lot that like the musculature is pretty clean. If we know what we're doing.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. One more.
Oh, 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 oh.
Can you get a cleaner tap on the top note if you can?
Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, I'll take that. Come back down.
Oh, 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 oh.
Close.
Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Nice.
Oh, 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 oh.
Well done.
Oh, 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 oh.
Last one.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. Okay, so in a second we'll kind of start to like maybe troubleshoot a bit more, or as like try to find cleaner reps. But generally here, this is a good place to start. Really well done for this first try.
Thank you.
How did that feel to you?
I think when at the top, when you kind of mentioned it was pulling apart a little bit, that's when it kind of clicked just a little bit for me. I was like, oh, okay, I think I do feel it. Like when you went down the next one, I was like, okay, I think I do kind of have that mind muscle connection a little bit there where I was like, okay,
Yeah,
that's what
you
it's
did.
like to keep it closed and then connect that to, okay, that's what it sounds like when it's kept closed.
Yeah. Exactly. So you're getting some kind of general idea of like, okay, this is what feels like to keep the chords closed. What about changing pitch? Anything that comes to you?
That one I was trying to kind of feel, but I'm not too sure.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. It happens quite naturally for you. So part of it might just be because it's always been there. So it's harder to tell. But yeah, if you can kind of like start to observe it, it will just allow you to navigate range a lot easier. So when you're singing a song, you're just like, oh, actually, this is all I need to do to get higher. Don't really need to do much. So let's try that now. So now, let's kind of shift our attention and just because you can really only focus on like one or two things at a time, right? So let's just allow the closure to do what it needs to do. Ideally, if you can get that precise kind of closure each time, that would be better. But see if you can start to observe, like, do I feel anything that allows me to change pitch? Now, maybe it's kind of like something kind of shifting up into the head, kind of tipping up and over. Maybe it's a bit more like cry kind of in the quality. There's a bit more like a cry kind of sound in it. Many ways to kind of perceive it. But yeah, see.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Nice.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Close. The closure backed off a tiny bit on the top. Try it again. Nice.
Oh, 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 oh.
Yep, still pretty good.
Oh, 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 oh.
Could be a bit cleaner. Try it again.
Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Oh, 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 oh.
Can you get it a little bit higher?
Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, that gets to the note. Nice. Again.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. And we'll just hang on these top notes a few more because this is where like the stretch feeling will be a bit more prominent. Just ask yourself, like, what does it feel like? What is allowing me to get to that high note? Because you are.
Oh, 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 oh.
Hmm?
Oh, 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 oh.
Got a bit soft on the top. Try it again.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice.
Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, what's that feeling your pitch change?
Oh, 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 oh.
Got a bit softer than top.
Oh, 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 oh.
Close.
Oh, 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 oh.
Got a bit softer than top.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Nice.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. Last one.
Oh, 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 oh.
Nice. Cool. Anything that came up for you? Like, whoa, what does this, what could maybe feel like pitch change? Any guesses?
When I was going through, I was trying to think about it, but the only thing I really felt is like, I don't know. I guess I kind of felt like to go higher, I felt like I needed to push more, or in my, yeah, I'm not sure. I think I felt something in my, like lower, like this area in my chest.
Yep.
Yeah, either getting a little more pushy or more relaxed.
Either more
Yeah.
pushy or more relaxed.
Like, yeah, to push
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
so-
higher or to relax to get lower. Yeah.
Ah, okay. And does it feel uncomfortable?
No, when
No,
it
okay.
when it gets higher, maybe like it's a little tougher to do it, but it's not uncomfortable by any means. Yeah.
Okay. That's completely fine. This is probably the first thing to kind of explore on your own, right? Because you're already kind of doing it quite well. So it's not like you need to do anything crazy differently. But we mainly need to kind of refine, like just get things more accurate and then challenge, which is maybe go to other sounds and other contexts. But you're kind of generally in a good ballpark. So it's kind of like, can I figure out what I'm doing here? And it's kind of simple, just like meditating a tiny bit, like getting a bit zen, but just noticing it, right? Not too much pressure. But once you kind of picture it and you can find something reliable, then we'll we can kind of like start to expand. Now, if you can't, sometimes it's just I have worked with certain singers where it's just like, it's just how I do it. There's not really like too much thinking about it. That's fine. Like you can also kind of latch onto the other bit, which is like, okay, can you change pitch without fiddling around with the closure so much?
Okay.
Right. So, which is like, notice how like I had to call out a few times where the top note got a bit softer. So sometimes the fix to get them a bit better is just don't change it. Like, can we build that control in? So technique is pretty simple like this, like at least with this exercise. So routine here, I want you to start with these kind of taps and scoops, right? And you can do it on an or vowel, you can do it all, probably doesn't really matter. Yeah, I don't think it would change that much for you. But the first priority here is get that gentle and precise tap the whole way. It's kind of like a similar proxy last week where the volume was the same. before the volume is that closure. So closure, when it meets the air, that's what creates at least an initial kind of bit of volume. So you even get that gentle and precise tap the whole way. If it moves or gets a bit looser, gets a bit heavier, harder, like that's when you kind of need to adjust it. But then once you have that, try to observe what pitch change feels like to you. Just have a guess. Okay, good. Anyway, that is all. I hope this fundamental lesson was useful and it can give you a really, really good foundation or place to start from. If you're still feeling stuck, remember, as I said, you don't have to do this on your own. I do offer lessons and also some self-study programs that you can find links in the description. Apart from that, if you found this episode useful, please leave a like, a review, something that kind of just helps support this podcast. Really means the world to me. Apart from that, my name is Ivan. I'm your voice teacher. I'll see you next Thursday or Friday. Take care.